The rain poured like heaven's sorrow, drenching the streets of London in gray despair. Daniel stood under the glass awning of his luxury car showroom, glaring at the clock that had just struck midnight. The city was asleep, except for a shivering woman crouched on the sidewalk across the street, clutching a frail baby wrapped in a torn blanket. For a man who never believed in kindness, she was nothing but another piece of the broken world he had long stopped caring about. But that night, something about her wouldn't let him look away. Daniel Reed was known as London's Ice King. He had built an empire from nothing: sleek cars, sharp suits, and sharper words. His employees feared him. His clients respected him. But no one loved him, and that suited him just fine. After losing his parents in a car accident at 16, Daniel learned one thing: kindness makes you weak. He had begged for help back then, but no one came. The world, in his eyes, rewarded only the ruthless. That night, as the rain lashed the empty streets, Daniel was locking up when he saw her, the woman under the streetlight. She was young, maybe in her 20s, her hair plastered to her face. The baby in her arms cried softly, too weak to wail. Daniel frowned. He turned away, pressing the button on his car keys. But as he slid into his seat, her voice broke through the rain, faint but desperate. "Please, someone help us." He froze. It was the word help that pierced him. A word he once screamed into the darkness years ago, unanswered. He tried to ignore it. Tried to tell himself it wasn't his problem. But guilt is a stubborn shadow. It grows when you turn away from it. Minutes passed. The rain grew harsher. The woman slumped against the wall, her baby still crying. Daniel clenched the steering wheel, his reflection staring back at him. Cold, empty eyes of a man who once promised never to care again. Finally, he cursed under his breath and stepped out. "Hey," he shouted, his voice echoing through the storm. "You can't sit there. You'll freeze." The woman looked up weakly. I have nowhere to go." Daniel hesitated. The city shelters were miles away, and taxis weren't running at this hour. Against every instinct, he opened his car door and muttered, "Get in. Just until I drop you somewhere safe." She hesitated, clutching her baby tighter. "Why would you help us?" Daniel's throat tightened. "I don't know," he said, surprising even himself. The woman, whose name was Lila, finally stepped in, dripping water onto the leather seats. The baby, named Noah, whimpered softly. As Daniel drove through the fog-drenched streets, he found himself glancing at the rearview mirror, at her tired eyes, her trembling hands, the way she hummed to soothe her child. Something stirred inside him. A feeling he had buried long ago: empathy. Daniel took them to a small guest house he owned on the city's edge, one he rarely visited. The manager, startled by the sight of his boss carrying a soaked woman and child, quickly fetched blankets. Lila thanked him over and over, tears blending with rain. "You're an angel," she whispered. He scoffed. "Hardly. I'm just not heartless tonight." But as she told her story, Daniel found himself silent. Lila had been a nurse before her husband abandoned her. She lost her job when the hospital downsized, and when her landlord evicted her, she had nowhere left to go. "I just want to keep my baby warm," she said softly. "That's all that matters." That night, Daniel lay awake in the next room. He could hear Noah's faint breathing and Lila's lullaby through the thin wall. Something inside him cracked. For the first time in years, he remembered his mother's voice singing the same way on stormy nights. Days passed. He bought food for them, found Lila clean clothes, even arranged a doctor's visit for Noah. Each act felt awkward at first. He wasn't used to giving. But each smile Lila offered in return chipped away at the walls around his heart. Then one morning, as he drove them to a shelter, Lila placed her hand on his arm. "You may not believe this," she said softly, "but your kindness saved us. Not just me, him too." Daniel didn't respond. He couldn't. His throat was too tight, his eyes stung. That night, when he returned home, the city lights looked different, softer, warmer. He realized something profound. Kindness didn't make you weak. It made you human. Months later, Daniel's life had changed in quiet but powerful ways. He began funding local shelters, not as charity, but as a promise to the version of himself who once cried for help in the dark. He and Lila stayed in touch. She got a new nursing job, and Noah grew stronger. Every few weeks, they met for coffee, and Daniel would bring little gifts for the boy: a toy car, a blanket, a smile. Then one winter morning, tragedy struck. Daniel's company headquarters caught fire. Amid the chaos, one of his workers was trapped inside. The crowd screamed for help, but no one moved, until a young nurse in uniform ran in. It was Lila. Moments later, firefighters pulled them both out. Lila coughing, Daniel's employee barely conscious. Daniel rushed to her side, tears mixing with ash. "Why would you risk your life?" he whispered. She smiled weakly. "Because once this stranger risked his heart to save mine." Daniel couldn't speak. The circle had come full. That night, as he stood under the rain again, watching it cleanse the city, he finally understood. The smallest act of kindness can echo louder than a lifetime of success. He knelt, letting the rain wash over him, his tears indistinguishable from the storm. For the first time, Daniel Reed, the man who never believed in kindness, whispered, "Thank you, God, for teaching me how to feel again." Dizzy moral of the story. Even the smallest act of kindness can awaken a heart that has forgotten how to love.